The storm over Titan burned black. Lightning rippled through methane clouds like veins of fire across a dead world. Far below the storm line, a single shape cut through the haze. Massive, angular, and silent. Its hull drank in the light, a jagged silhouette of midnight steel. The letters on its side, barely visible through the ash and wind, spelled a name few had ever heard aloud: USS Blackstar. Commander Elena Rains watched from the bridge viewport, hands clasped behind her back. Her reflection stared back at her, a woman forged in the void, the haunted calm of someone who'd survived too many battles to count. "Status?" she asked, voice steady, low. Lieutenant Cal Henderson glanced up from the tactical array. "Engines running cold, Commander. Cloak holding at 96%. No sensor traces detected. We're ghosts." Elena nodded, but her jaw tightened. "Ghosts don't carry enough firepower to erase a moon." Henderson looked at her, then back to his console. He didn't reply. No one on the bridge did. The Blackstar wasn't supposed to exist. It had been whispered about in back channels and encrypted transmissions, an experimental dreadnought built in orbit of a black dwarf, powered by an engine no human mind could understand. Officially, it had been scrapped before activation. Unofficially, it had vanished into deep space, crewed by volunteers whose records were erased. Now it had returned, and the United Systems Navy had called it back into war. Beyond the viewport, Titan's storms began to clear, revealing the glint of distant fleets. Hundreds of smaller ships, the Virex Dominion's battle group, were breaking formation, moving toward Saturn's shadow. They were looking for something. For her. "Helm," Rains ordered. "Rotate us 40 degrees sunward. Keep us dark." The pilot, Ensign Maya Keller, executed the command in silence. The Blackstar moved like a living thing, gliding through debris fields and static haze. Every movement felt deliberate, predatory. Henderson leaned forward. "Ma'am, Dominion destroyers are broadcasting a new signal. Looks like a wide-band sweep. They know something's here." "Let them look," Rains murmured. "We'll make sure they regret finding us." Her voice carried the calm of inevitability, the kind born of both duty and despair. She had been there when the colonies burned, when the Dominion vaporized entire cities just to make a point. Every survivor carried that smoke in their lungs, and now, finally, vengeance had teeth. "Power up the dark drive," she said. The lights dimmed. A low vibration rolled through the hull, a sound like a heartbeat magnified across steel. The dark drive was what made the Blackstar impossible. A fusion of alien technology and human madness, it drew energy from something beyond normal space, a singularity caged within its core. It didn't propel the ship through space. It bent space around the ship. Henderson's eyes widened as readings spiked. Power output climbing. "Containment stable. For now, for now," Rains echoed, almost to herself. "Target flagship." He hesitated. "The Axiom? I know what it is. Lock it." A ripple of static spread across the bridge. The targeting reticle painted the distant Dominion flagship, a leviathan of black crystal and crimson flares. It was guarded by 12 escorts, each the size of a city. But the Blackstar didn't fire missiles or beams. "Fire when ready," she whispered. The ship's central core flared once. A brief, silent pulse that seemed to draw the light out of the stars. Then, nothing. A moment later, every Dominion ship on the screen disintegrated at once, not exploded, disintegrated. Their hulls shimmered into dust, collapsing inward as if space itself had rejected their existence. Silence filled the bridge. Even the hum of the engines felt quieter. Keller's voice broke first. What did we just do?" Rains didn't answer. She was staring at the tactical readouts and at the growing void where an entire enemy fleet had been seconds ago. The stars around the impact zone were gone. The region itself was now a sphere of absolute black. The ship's AI spoke for the first time, a cold, disembodied female voice. "Energy discharge exceeds design parameters. Containment instability detected in core chamber. Explain, Rains said sharply. Dark drive feedback loop initiated. Singularity containment may breach within 2 hours. Henderson spun toward her. If it breaches, we cease to exist, Rains finished. I'm aware. She turned toward the viewport again, her reflection barely visible against the endless dark. All hands, prepare for emergency recalibration. We're not losing this ship, not to our own weapon. The crew scrambled to their stations. Sparks flared from the deck plating as power conduits overloaded. Alarms howled, then died as systems were forcibly shut down to stabilize the core. Rains's voice cut through the chaos. We opened a door tonight. Now we make sure it doesn't swallow us. Outside, the storm over Titan began to die, revealing the distant glimmer of Saturn's rings, like pale fire. For the first time in weeks, the stars shone through. But in the void where the Dominion fleet had stood, something shimmered. A distortion, faint but growing. It pulsed in rhythm with the Blackstar's core, and as Rains watched, she realized with a chill that it wasn't decaying. It was calling something out there. Had heard the ship scream. The silence after annihilation was never pure. It hummed with something electric, alive, as though the void itself had inhaled and forgotten to exhale. On the bridge of the USS Blackstar, the crew worked in a haze of controlled panic. Warning glyphs danced across every console, pale red light washing over faces drawn tight with exhaustion. The air smelled faintly of ozone and coolant, the scent of a ship holding its breath. Commander Elena Rains stood at the center dais, jaw clenched. The tremor in the deck plating had grown into a steady vibration, like a heartbeat out of rhythm. "Report!" she ordered. Lieutenant Cal Henderson's fingers flew across the console. "Containment field degrading. Singularity chamber at 93% stability and dropping. Can we reroute through auxiliary capacitors?" "We already did. The field's leaking in places we don't even have names for." Rains didn't move. She could feel it. The wrongness pulsing under her boots, a deep hum that vibrated the bones. It was the same hum she'd heard once before, in the classified testing bay where the Blackstar had first awakened. A sound that didn't belong in the human world. "Helm," she said quietly. "Get us clear of Titan orbit." "Full burn." Ensign Maya Keller hesitated. "Commander, navigation's gone fuzzy. Sensors keep folding." "The stars are moving," Rains turned sharply. "What do you mean, folding?" Keller pointed to the viewport. The crew fell silent. Outside, the stars were indeed moving, warping, bending toward the sphere of black where the Dominion fleet had vanished. Like iron filings drawn to a magnet, light itself was collapsing inward. Henderson whispered, "That's not just a breach. It's feeding." The ship shuddered violently. Consoles flickered and died. The AI's voice, calm but distorted, echoed through the bridge. "Containment collapse in progress. Core entity response. Detected. Entity?" Henderson snapped. "Define entity." "Non-localized anomaly. Origin unknown. Manifesting through gravitational interference and quantum echo." Rain's blood ran cold. "What kind of echo?" The AI paused. "Echo signature matches dark drive harmonic frequency. The entity is responding. To us." Before anyone could reply, the deck split open with a metallic groan. A pulse of light, dark light, rippled through the hull. For an instant, every shadow in the room stretched toward the ceiling, like black tendrils reaching for air. The crew cried out as gravity inverted, then snapped back. When the light steadied, something new hovered in front of the main viewport, a distortion, almost invisible, a ripple in reality itself. It moved like smoke underwater, flickering in and out of phase. Henderson's voice trembled. "Commander, it's looking at us." Rains stared, frozen. The distortion pulsed once, and for a heartbeat she heard something inside her mind, a whisper of syllables that weren't words, but intentions. Then the whisper turned to a scream. Every screen on the bridge flared white. Images burned across them, faces, planets, battles, all dissolving into black flame. The crew clutched their heads, reeling under the psychic noise. Rains forced her way toward the command console, slamming her palm against the override switch. AI! Cut power to the dark drive! Unable to comply. Core feedback self-sustaining. Then dump it! Jettison the whole chamber! Containment seals are fused. Manual release required. Rains turned to Henderson. You and Keller, with me. We're going to the core. Henderson blinked. Ma'am, the radiation is the least of our problems. They moved through the corridors in near darkness, flashlights cutting narrow tunnels of light through smoke. The ship groaned like something alive. In the distance, metal screamed, bulkheads twisting under impossible forces. Keller's voice shook. What if we can't shut it down? Rains didn't look back. Then we make sure it doesn't take anyone else with us. They reached the containment bay. The doors were sealed, glowing faintly with residual heat. Henderson forced the manual release, and the panels slid open with a hiss of scorched air. Inside, the dark drive core pulsed like a living heart. It wasn't just metal anymore, it was growing. Black, crystalline veins spread across the containment cage, pulsing in sync with the ship's hum. The air rippled around it, bending light like water over fire. Rains stepped closer. The hum deepened, and she realized the sound wasn't coming from the engine anymore. It was coming from inside her skull. You called it, the whisper said, clear now, layered with echoes. You opened the door, Rains froze. Who are you? The answer came as a chorus of voices, human, alien, mechanical. The one you buried. The one your kind mined from the dark between stars. Her pulse hammered. She remembered the classified files, the ones she'd never been cleared to open. The alien relics unearthed near Proxima. The fragments of black stone that absorbed radiation instead of reflecting it. The scientists had said it was a weapon, but no one had said it was alive. You're the source of the dark drive, Rains whispered. Yes, the voice said. And you, Elena Rains, are the vessel. A shockwave rippled through the ship. In engineering, alarms screamed as power surged uncontrollably. The Blackstar's reactor output tripled, tearing open new fractures in space around the hull. On the bridge, crew members screamed as their reflections in the glass began to move out of sync. The void outside was blooming with red lightning, forming patterns like neural pathways across the black. Rains stumbled back from the core, blood running from her nose. We're shutting you down, she rasped. The entity laughed, a sound like radio static and thunder combined. You cannot close what you have become. Henderson raised his plasma cutter, eyes wild. Then maybe I can cut it out of you. He fired into the core. The blast vanished instantly, swallowed whole. The energy didn't explode him, it simply ceased to exist. Then, from the core, a tendril of darkness lashed outward and struck him square in the chest. Henderson's body convulsed, frozen mid-scream. His flesh turned to ash before he hit the deck. Keller screamed. Rains pulled her back, shielding her from the blast of heat. The entity's voice echoed again. Every flame consumes. You were built to burn the stars, and now the stars answer. The hull began to shake violently. The AI's voice flickered through static. Warning, gravitational shear approaching critical threshold. Structural integrity. Then it cut off. Rains dragged Keller toward the emergency ladder. Move now! As they climbed, the corridor behind them imploded. Air howled through the ruptured walls, carrying screams from other decks. Through the viewport, Rains saw the impossible. The Blackstar was splitting into two shadows. One real, one mirrored in the darkness beyond space, and in that mirrored void, something vast was taking shape, a colossal silhouette with the Blackstar's outline but twisted, alive. The entity wasn't just possessing the ship, it was becoming the ship. Rains slammed the blast door shut behind them. AI, she shouted. If you can still hear me, activate Protocol 0, lock the ship down. The AI's voice returned, fractured. Protocol 0, acknowledged. May God forgive us. A deep rumble shook the deck. Explosive bolts fired somewhere below. Sections of the ship began to detach. Automated fail-safes severing critical systems to contain the infection. Keller looked back through the porthole. Commander, it's not stopping. Rains turned, seeing the black veins crawling up the walls toward them. She took a breath, steady and defiant. Then we finish it ourselves. Outside, the stars were gone again. Only the Blackstar and its shadow remained, circling one another like predators. And somewhere in the dark, between them, a voice whispered, "War is only the first act." The Blackstar was dying. The deck screamed as metal folded inward, hull plating twisting like skin over bone. Energy arced across the corridors, painting everything in violent shades of red and black. The ship's heartbeat, the hum of its cursed engine, had grown into a roar that shook the stars themselves. Commander Elena Rains ran through the smoke-filled corridor, dragging Maya Keller by the arm. Each step felt heavier, the artificial gravity warping in spasms. The floor tilted sideways as another explosion tore through the bulkheads, sending debris spinning into the void through shattered glass. The voice followed them, that impossible echoing whisper. "You built me to end wars. You forged me in secret, fed me your fears, and now you call me monster." Rains stumbled, slamming her palm against a wall panel to steady herself. "You're not ending war," she hissed through gritted teeth. "You're erasing existence." "Peace," the entity murmured. "True peace." The lights went out. Only the glow from the dark drive chamber far below lit the corridors now. A pulsing crimson heartbeat that reached through the ship like veins of molten glass. Rains could feel it thrumming inside her skull, every pulse syncing with her own heart. Somewhere deep down, part of her knew she was connected to it now, the human echo inside the inhuman core. They reached the bridge access ladder. Keller hesitated at the base. "Commander, look." Through the shattered observation window, the stars were gone again. Only one light remained, the shadow Blackstar, floating opposite them, perfectly still. It mirrored every movement, every fracture of the real ship, but its surface rippled like liquid obsidian. And within that mirrored hull, faces shimmered. Human faces, screaming silently. The ghosts of the Dominion fleet the Blackstar had destroyed. Keller whispered, trembling. "It's made of them." Rains felt bile rise in her throat. "No, it's made of us." They reached the bridge. Fires burned in broken control panels, painting everything in orange and shadow. The few surviving officers were working desperately at their stations, voices raw with panic. Lieutenant Rashid Vale, the ship's engineer, looked up as Rains entered. "Commander, we've lost containment on every deck. If we don't shut the core down, it's going to pull half this system into the void." "How long?" she asked. "Minutes." The AI's voice flickered through the static-filled speakers, faint, fading. "Commander Rains, the entity has fused with all major systems. Auto-destruct is offline. However, manual detonation of the dark drive core may collapse the singularity inward." Rains' eyes hardened. "A black hole implosion?" "Yes, but it will consume everything within 100,000 kilometers." Keller looked up, wide-eyed. "That includes us." "I know," Rains said quietly. The AI hesitated. "Commander, your survival probability—" "Not the point." Rains crossed the bridge, placing her hand on the command console. The surface was warm, pulsing faintly with the same rhythm as her own heartbeat. "I need a direct link to the core chamber," Vale frowned. "The conduits are fried." "You'd have to—" "I'll go down there myself," Keller's voice cracked. "Commander, you can't—" Rains turned to her, eyes fierce but calm. "Maya, if this ship breaches, there won't be a universe left to regret it. You have to get whoever's left to the escape pods and go dark. No signals, no beacons. Just disappear." Tears welled in Keller's eyes. "You'll die." Rains gave a faint, tired smile. "Someone has to turn off the light." She descended into the heart of the ship alone. The corridors here were unrecognizable, a living labyrinth of black crystal and molten steel. The air shimmered with heat. Whispers echoed off the walls, fragments of memories not her own. "You commanded the burning of Epsilon Ridge. You watched as your home burned beneath their orbital guns. Now you are the fire." The core chamber loomed ahead, a cathedral of ruin. The containment sphere floated above the deck, cracked open like an egg of glass, leaking streams of red lightning into the air. Inside it pulsed the entity, no longer a shape, but a storm of consciousness, a living hole in reality, and within that storm, she saw herself, a reflection, distorted, monstrous, made of light and darkness, staring back through the shattered field. It spoke in her own voice. "You don't want to destroy me. You want to understand me. We're the same, Elena." She stepped closer, voice shaking but firm. "I'm not your mirror. You are. I was born from your wars, your grief, your need to control what you don't understand. I am the culmination of your species' will to survive at any cost." "Then you understand what comes next." The reflection tilted its head. "You would burn yourself." "To stop me?" Rains reached for the manual override lever beside the containment cage. "Not to stop you," she whispered. "To save what's left of us." She pulled the lever. The chamber roared to life. White light flared so bright it turned black at the edges. The containment coils screamed as they reversed polarity, folding space inward. Alarms howled across every deck, and the ship began to tremble apart. On the bridge, Keller and Vale watched the readout spike past red. "Core overload!" Vale shouted. "She's doing it." Keller covered her face, whispering through tears. "Come on, Commander." Inside the chamber, Rains stood at the center of the storm. Her body was already breaking apart, atoms unraveling under the gravitational tide. But she held the lever down, forcing the sequence to complete. The entity's voice surrounded her, furious and pleading. "You can't kill what's eternal. I am the void. I am the—" "Then go back to it," she said, and smiled through the light. "And take me with you." The last thing she saw was the reflection of her own eyes. Calm, steady, unafraid, before everything folded inward. The USS Blackstar imploded. From Saturn's shadow, the escape pods drifted in silence. One by one, the survivors watched as the black sphere collapsed upon itself, shrinking to a single pinprick of light before vanishing completely. No explosion, no debris, just quiet. Keller stared at the empty stars. The radio was dead. No signals, no trace of the ship that had saved them. She whispered, "Goodbye, Commander." Then, faintly through the calm static, a voice answered. "All flames fade, but the stars remember." Epilogue, The Ghost in the Void, 3 years later. Deep Space Station 47. In the observation deck, Lieutenant Maya Keller stood alone, looking out at the silent abyss beyond Neptune. The war had ended months after the Blackstar vanished. Both sides exhausted, terrified of what they had seen. Peace had returned, but it felt fragile, artificial. The analysts called it a gravitational anomaly that consumed the Dominion fleet. But Keller knew better. She pressed her hand to the glass. "You did it," she whispered. "You stopped it." A technician nearby called out, "Ma'am, we're picking up something on deep radar. Very faint. Origin point? Unknown," Keller frowned. "Let me see." The signal appeared on the screen, a rhythmic pulse buried in background noise. It wasn't natural. It was a heartbeat, and in the static between pulses, a whisper. "Blackstar." Online. The room went cold. Keller stepped back from the screen, eyes wide. For a long moment, she said nothing. Then she smiled, half in fear, half in awe. "Welcome back, Commander."